Hannah stood outside the school gates and stared at the building. It looked too normal, too safe. Her hands felt strange without a weapon in them. She had held a plasma rifle for 2 years straight. Now she carried a backpack with books and pencils inside. It felt wrong. The other students walked past her, laughing and talking about things she did not understand. Someone complained about a test. Another person talked about a concert. Hannah's brain automatically scanned them for threats. Her neural implant marked exit routes and counted possible hostiles. She shook her head and tried to turn it off, but the military programming ran deep in her mind. She was 17 years old. 2 years ago, she had been 15 and desperate. The aliens called the Varanthi Swarm had attacked human colonies. The government needed soldiers fast. They dropped the age limit to 15 for emergency volunteers. Hannah had signed up the same day her neighborhood got the evacuation order. Her parents had cried, but they understood. Everyone understood back then. The choice was simple: fight or die till the war was over. The treaty was signed. The government raised the age limit back to 19. Soldiers under that age got sent home with medical discharges and thank you letters. Hannah had 3 medals in a box under her bed. She also had scars on her arms and nightmares that woke her up every night at 300 hours. The school bell rang. Hannah flinched at the sound. Her body tensed, ready for combat. But there was no combat, just students running to class. She took a deep breath and walked through the gates. The hallway smelled like cleaning chemicals and cheap food. Hannah's stomach turned. She was used to recycled air and protein paste on warships. This place felt too bright, too loud, too full of people who had no idea what the universe really looked like. She found her classroom on the 2nd floor. The teacher, Mr. Tay, looked at her with sharp eyes. He was older, maybe 40, with gray hair at his temples. Something about the way he stood made Hannah think he knew about soldiers. He nodded at her once and pointed to an empty desk by the window. Hannah sat down. The chair felt too soft. The girl next to her smiled and said hello. Her name was Yuna. She had quiet eyes and wore her hair in a simple ponytail. Hannah nodded back, but did not speak. She did not know what to say to people anymore. The morning classes were torture. Math felt pointless when she had calculated missile trajectories in her head during combat. History made her want to laugh because the teacher talked about old wars like they were just stories. Literature was the worst. They read a poem about peace and beauty. Hannah had seen 3 planets burning. She knew what war smelled like. The poem felt like a lie-dotted lunch. She sat alone in the corner of the cafeteria. The food looked good, but tasted like nothing. Her taste buds had died somewhere between her 2nd and 3rd deployment. She ate because her body needed fuel, not because she enjoyed it. A girl with bright eyes and perfect hair walked up to her table. This was Mina, the class president. Everyone seemed to like her. She smiled at Hannah and asked if she could sit down. Hannah shrugged. Mina talked about the school, about clubs, about the upcoming festival. Hannah half listened. Her implant kept scanning the room for threats that were not there. Then Wu showed up. He was tall and wore his uniform like he thought he was tough. He had a group of friends behind him. They all looked at Hannah like she was something strange and funny. "Hey, new girl," Wu said. "Where you been for 2 years?" "Jail?" His friends laughed. Hannah looked at him with dead eyes. She had killed things that would eat Wu in one bite. She had watched friends die in vacuum. This boy was nothing. But she could not say that. Her discharge papers came with rules. No revealing her service. No discussing classified operations. No using her augmentations unless absolutely necessary. "I was away," Hannah said quietly. "Away where?" Wu pushed. You got kicked out of your old school or something? Mina jumped in. Leave her alone, Wu. She just got here. Wu laughed and walked away. But Hana saw the look in his eyes. He would be back. Boys like him always came back. The afternoon was worse. Physical education class made everyone change into gym clothes. Hana's body was covered in scars. Small ones from shrapnel. Long ones from energy weapons. A big burn mark on her left shoulder from when her armor failed. The other girls stared. Some whispered. Hana changed quickly and ignored them all. Mr. Tay ran the class. He made them do basic exercises. Running, jumping, stretching. It was easy for Hana. Too easy. Her body was trained to run 30 kilometers in full combat gear. She finished the course in half the time of everyone else and was not even breathing hard. Mr. Tay watched her carefully. After class, he pulled her aside. You have training, he said. It was not a question. Hana looked at him. I exercise a lot. That's not exercise. That's military conditioning. His voice was low. I know because I have it too. Hana's eyes widened slightly. Mr. Tay nodded. I did my time. 20 years ago. Different war, same scars. He paused. Principal Day told me a student with special circumstances was joining. Medical discharge, right? Hana said nothing. You don't have to talk about it, Mr. Tay continued. But if you need someone who understands, my office is open. He walked away before Hana could respond. She stood there feeling something she had not felt in a long time. Maybe it was relief. Maybe it was hope. She was not sure anymore. The final bell rang at 1600 hours. Students rushed out like they were escaping prison. Hana took her time. She walked home slowly through streets that felt too peaceful. Nobody was shooting at her. No alarms were screaming. No friends were dying. It should have felt good. Instead, it felt empty. Her apartment was small and quiet. Too quiet. On the ship, there was always noise. Engines humming, people talking, alerts beeping. Here, there was nothing. Just silence that made her ears ring. Hana tried to sleep that night, but sleep would not come. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling and counting the seconds. At 0300 hours, her body jerked awake. Time for patrol. But there was no patrol. She was home. This was supposed to be better. She got up and made tea. Her hands shook slightly. Not from fear. From nothing to do. For 2 years, every second had a purpose. Every action had meaning. Now she had homework about literature and math problems that did not matter. Hana looked at her reflection in the dark window. She barely recognized herself. The girl who joined the military at 15 was gone. The soldier who survived 6 major battles was trying to hide. What was left was something in between. Not a soldier. Not a student. Just someone trying to figure out how to be human again. Tomorrow she would go back to school. She would sit in class and pretend to care about tests and grades. She would ignore the whispers and the stares. She would be normal, but normal felt like the hardest mission she had ever faced. The first week at school felt like walking through a dream that did not make sense. Hana tried to act normal, but normal was a language she had forgotten how to speak. Every day brought new mistakes that made her classmates look at her strangely. On Tuesday, the fire alarm went off during 3rd period. It was just a drill. Everyone knew it was a drill. But Hana's body did not care about drills. The sound triggered something deep in her brain. Before she could think, she was on her feet in combat stance. Her hands moved automatically, checking for weapons that were not there. Her eyes scanned for enemy positions and safe routes. She organized the students near her into a tactical formation without meaning to. You three, cover the left flank. You two, check the corridor. Move in pairs, watch for ambush points. Her voice was cold and commanding. The students stared at her like she had grown a second head. Mr. Tay appeared in the doorway. Hannah, it's just a drill. Stand down. The words stand down flipped a switch in her mind. She blinked and looked around. Everyone was staring. Some students looked scared. Others looked confused. Hannah felt her face get hot. She walked out of the classroom without a word and stood alone in the hallway until the drill ended. By lunch, everyone was talking about it. Hannah heard the whispers as she got her food. Robot girl. That was what they started calling her. She moved too stiff, talked too formal, never smiled or laughed. Robot girl. Wu and his friends made it worse. They followed her around making mechanical sounds. Beep boop, malfunction, beep boop. They thought it was funny. Hannah's training told her exactly how to make them stop. She knew 17 ways to break a human body with her bare hands. But she kept walking and said nothing. Yuna found her on the roof during lunch on Thursday. Most students were not allowed up there, but Hannah had picked the lock without thinking. Old habits from infiltration training. Yuna sat down next to her and did not say anything for a long time. They just looked at the city together. My parents died in the First Contact War, Yuna said quietly. I was 6. I don't remember them much, but I remember the soldiers who came to tell me. They looked like you do, like they were somewhere else in their heads. Hannah turned to look at her. Yuna's face was calm but sad. You were military, right? Yuna asked. That's where you were for 2 years. Hannah considered lying, but something about Yuna made lying feel pointless. Yes, I thought so. My foster father was a veteran. He had the same nightmares, same way of watching everything, same trouble sleeping. Yuna paused. He got better eventually. Took years, but he got better. I don't know if I can get better, Hannah said. It was the first honest thing she had said to anyone since coming home. You can, Yuna said. It just takes time. They sat together until the bell rang. After that day, Yuna always saved a seat for Hannah at lunch. It was a small thing, but it helped. Friday brought chemistry class. The teacher, Miss Park, was explaining chemical reactions. She held up a container and talked about the compounds inside. Hannah's implant automatically analyzed it and displayed the results. The compounds were stable, but if you added 2 other common chemicals, they would create a small explosive. Not enough to hurt anyone, but enough to blow open a locked door. That could make a decent breaching charge, Hannah said without thinking. The class went silent. Miss Park stared at her. What did you say? Hannah realized her mistake. Nothing, sorry. But it was too late. Ms. Park reported it to Principal Day. After class, Hannah got called to the office. Principal Day was a serious woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She looked at Hannah's file on her computer screen. I received a briefing about you from the military, Principal Day said. I know you served. I know you were discharged early. I know you have augmentations that are supposed to be kept secret. She looked up. But you're making it very hard to keep that secret. I'm trying, Hannah said. Try harder. If the other students find out what you really are, it will cause problems. For you and for this school. Principal Day's voice was not mean, just tired. You're a good kid, Hannah, but you're scaring people. Hannah nodded and left. She felt hollow inside. She was scaring people just by existing. What was she supposed to do about that? The weekends were worse than school days. At school, she at least had a schedule. On weekends, there was nothing. She cleaned her apartment 3 times. Did all her homework in 2 hours? then sat and stared at walls for the rest of the day. Her body needed activity. Her brain needed missions. But there were no missions anymore. Just empty time. Monday started the second week. Mina organized a class project about local history. She put Hana in a group with herself and two other students named Kwan and Sora. They met after school in the library. Mina was cheerful and organized. Kwan was quiet and smart. Sora talked too much, but meant well. They tried to include Hana in the conversation, but she barely spoke. When they asked her opinion, she gave short answers. When they tried to joke around, she just stared. She could see them getting frustrated with her. She wanted to explain that she did not know how to be a teenager anymore, that she had forgotten how to care about school projects and local history, that her brain was stuck in survival mode and could not switch off. But she said nothing. That afternoon, everything changed. The school was having an assembly in the main hall. 500 students packed into the space, sitting in rows and talking loudly. Hana sat in the back with Yuna. The principal was giving a boring speech about academic excellence. Nobody was really listening. Then there was a sound. A deep groaning noise from above. Hana's head snapped up. Her implant scanned the ceiling and showed her what normal eyes could not see. Structural weakness. Metal fatigue. The construction company had cut corners when they renovated last summer. The weight distribution was wrong. The ceiling was about to collapse. Hana was moving before her brain finished thinking. She jumped up and shouted, "Everyone move." Now. Ceiling collapse in 15 seconds. Most students looked at her like she was crazy. But Mr. Tay heard the command in her voice. He started yelling too. "Move! Everyone to the exits." The ceiling groaned again. Louder this time. Students started to panic. They ran in all directions, screaming and pushing. 3 students fell and got trampled. Hana ran toward them, not away. She grabbed the first student, a small girl named Jizu, and threw her toward the door. Not hard, but enough to get her clear of the danger zone. She pulled the second student, a boy named Hyan, to his feet and pushed him forward. The third student was unconscious from getting kicked in the head. The ceiling started to break. Metal beams bent and concrete cracked. Hana's implant showed her exactly where it would fall and when. She had 4 seconds. She grabbed the unconscious student and ran. Her augmented muscles made him feel light. She covered 30 meters in 3 seconds. The ceiling came down behind her. Dust and debris exploded everywhere. Students screamed. Alarms finally started ringing. Hana looked back through the smoke. Her implant highlighted heat signatures. There were still people trapped inside. She did not hesitate. She ran back into the dust. Her neural implant switched to combat mode. Time seemed to slow down. She could see everything clearly. A girl pinned under a beam. 2 boys hiding under a table. An older student trying to move debris with his bare hands. Hana reached the girl first. The beam was steel and weighed maybe 200 kilograms. Too heavy for a normal person. But Hana's augmented muscles were designed for combat in heavy armor. She gripped the beam and lifted. Her arms shook, but the beam moved. The girl scrambled out and ran. She found the 2 boys and led them through a safe path in the rubble. She helped the older student move debris to free 3 more people trapped behind it. Her hands bled from the sharp metal, but she barely felt it. Pain was just information. Information could be ignored. In 4 minutes, she cleared the entire danger zone. 12 students saved. 0 deaths. She walked out of the smoke covered in dust and blood. Her eyes were glowing. The neural implant's tactical display was still active, visible through her irises as floating blue text and diagrams that every student with a phone had recorded it. By the time the ambulances arrived, The videos were already spreading through the school network. Hannah standing in the wreckage with glowing eyes. Hannah lifting beams that should have been impossible to move. Hannah moving with inhuman speed and precision. Everyone knew now. She was not normal. She was military. She was augmented. She was something other than human. Principal Day found her sitting against a wall while medics checked her injuries. The principal said nothing for a long moment. Then she sighed. Tomorrow, you're going to address the school. We can't hide what you are anymore. So we're going to control how they find out. Hannah just nodded. She was too tired to argue. She had tried to be normal. She had tried to hide. But normal was never going to work. She was a soldier. She would always be a soldier. Now everyone would know it. The assembly hall was silent. 500 students sat in temporary seating in the gymnasium because the main hall was still being repaired. Every eye was on Hannah. She stood on the stage in her school uniform, hands at her sides, looking at the crowd like they were a firing squad. Principal Day had given her a choice the night before. Share a cleaned version of her military service, or transfer to a special program for students with difficulties. The special program was basically isolation, a polite way of saying she did not belong with normal kids. Hannah refused to hide anymore. She stepped up to the microphone. Her hands did not shake. She had given briefings to generals before. But talking to teenagers about her past felt harder than any combat mission. My name is Hanapak, she said. Her voice was flat and controlled. 2 years ago, I was 15 years old. The Varanthi swarm attacked the outer colonies. The government needed soldiers fast. They dropped the minimum age to 15. I volunteered the day my district got evacuation orders. The students shifted in their seats. Some whispered to each other. Most just stared. I served in the Human Defense Coalition Strike Corps. I fought in 6 major engagements, 3 in ship-to-ship combat, 3 in ground operations. I was part of a boarding team that specialized in close quarters battle. Our job was to go into enemy ships and take them over or destroy them from inside. She paused and looked at the faces. They looked so young. She remembered being that young. It felt like a lifetime ago. The Varanthi are not like us. They are a hive mind, millions of bodies controlled by one intelligence. They do not negotiate. They do not surrender. They consume everything in their path. When they attack a planet, they strip it down to the core. Every resource, every living thing, everything. A girl in the front row raised her hand. Principal Day nodded at her. Did you kill them? The girl asked quietly. Yes, Hannah said. There was no point in lying. I killed hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I stopped counting after the first month. The silence got heavier. Hannah continued. The war lasted 18 months. By the end, the Varanthi learned to avoid human boarding teams. Other species in the galaxy had better technology, faster ships, stronger weapons. But humans had something different. We adapted faster. We survived in conditions that killed other species. We found ways to win when we should have lost. She pulled up her sleeve and showed the burn scar on her shoulder. This happened when my armor failed during a boarding action. The ship was venting atmosphere. Temperature dropped to -40. My suit recycler broke. I had 15 minutes of air left. The Varanthi kept coming. My squad leader was dead. 2 others were wounded. I was the only one still fighting. The students leaned forward. Even the ones who had been whispering were quiet now. I stripped a Varanthi soldier for its breathing apparatus, used its own equipment to survive. Then I used its weapon to clear the corridor. Humans can breathe different gas mixtures if we have to. We can process food that would poison other species. We can. It was not a fair match. Jin had combat training and augmented reflexes. Wu was just a regular teenager who watched too many action movies. The match should have been stopped before it started. But Jin's family connections made Mr. Tay hesitate. The sparring began. Jin moved slowly at first, playing with Wu. He dodged every punch easily. He tapped Wu on the head, the chest, the shoulders, showing how easy it would be to hurt him. The other students watched nervously. Then Jin stopped playing. He hit Wu in the ribs hard enough to crack bones. Wu fell. Jin kicked him while he was down. Mr. Tay shouted for him to stop. Jin ignored him. He pulled Wu up and hit him again. Blood sprayed from Wu's nose. Hana was moving before her brain caught up. She crossed the gym in 4 strides and grabbed Jin from behind. She pulled him away from Wu and threw him backward. Jin rolled and came up smiling. There she is. The real Hana, not the scared little girl pretending to be normal. You sent him to the hospital, Hana said. Her voice was cold and controlled, but inside she was burning with anger. He challenged me. I responded. That is how combat works. Jin circled her slowly. You have forgotten that. You have forgotten what we are. We are weapons. We are made to destroy. Pretending otherwise is an insult to everyone who died. They died so people would not have to be weapons, Hana said. They died so kids like Wu could live normal lives. Normal? Jin laughed. There is no normal for us. We will always be different. We will always be dangerous. The only choice is whether we pretend otherwise or embrace what we are. The other students had backed away. Even Mr. Tay looked uncertain. Jin was stronger than any normal adult. His augmentations made him extremely dangerous. If he decided to really fight, people would die. I do not want to fight you, Hana said. Then you are weak. Jin moved forward. And weak soldiers get people killed. He attacked fast. Not sparring speed. Real combat speed. His fist came at Hana's face with enough force to break her jaw. She blocked it automatically. Her training kicked in. Block, redirect, counter. But she stopped the counter. She refused to hit back. Jin attacked again. Hana defended. She moved like water, letting his strikes flow past her. She was faster than him, better trained. She had served in close quarters combat teams. She had fought in zero gravity, in vacuum, in conditions that would kill normal people. Jin had served on a destroyer doing ship defense. He knew basic combat, but he was not elite. He grew frustrated. His attacks got wilder, stronger, angrier. Hana kept defending, never attacking, never hurting him, just stopping him from hurting her. Fight back. Jin screamed. Stop pretending you are better than me. I am not better than you, Hana said. She sounded calm, but her heart was racing. I am just tired of fighting. Jin prepared a massive strike. His augmented muscles charged up. Hana's implant calculated the force. If that hit connected, it would kill. He had lost control completely. He was going to murder her right here in the gym. Time slowed down. Hana saw 3 options. Option 1, take the hit and maybe die. Option 2, dodge and let him hit someone else. Option 3, end him before he hurt anyone. She chose option 4. She stepped inside his strike and grabbed his arm. Used his own momentum against him. 3 precise moves, and he was on the ground face down with his arm twisted behind his back. 1 more ounce of pressure, and the arm would break. She held him there, not hurting him, just stopping him. I survived 6 major battles, Hana said quietly, her voice only for Jin to hear. I watched my best friend die. I killed things that would eat you for breakfast. I earned 3 medals for actions above and beyond duty. I did not survive all that to become the thing I was fighting against. She leaned closer. You dishonor every soldier who died. They did not fight so you could bully children. They fought so children would never have to know what war feels like. You have forgotten that. You have forgotten why we served. Jin was crying. Not from pain. From something deeper. My whole squad died. All of them. I was the only one who made it out. How is that fair? Why did I survive when they died? Hana's grip softened. She understood that pain. Survivor's guilt was crushing. It made you angry at the world. Made you want to prove you deserved to live. I do not know why we survived, Hana said. But we did. Now we have to decide what we do with that. Do we honor them by being better? Or do we spit on their sacrifice by becoming monsters? She released him and stood up. The entire gym was silent. Students stared with wide eyes. Jin lay on the ground crying. Mr. Tay finally moved forward and called for the school nurse. Principal. Day arrived 10 minutes later with security. She looked at Jin, then at Hana, then at Wu, who was being treated for his injuries. My office. Now, both of you. In the office, Principal Day sat behind her desk looking tired. Jin, your family connections will not save you this time. You put a student in the hospital. That is assault. The police will be involved. Jin said nothing. He just stared at the floor. However, Principal Day continued, you are also clearly suffering from combat trauma. The school should have provided better support. We failed you in that regard. So here is what will happen. You will be suspended pending a psychiatric evaluation. If the doctors clear you and you agree to intensive therapy, you can return. If not, you will be expelled. She turned to Hana. You stopped a violent situation without causing permanent harm. Technically, you saved lives. But you also used unauthorized combat techniques on school grounds. That violates your discharge agreement. Hana's stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means I have to report this to your military liaison. They will decide if you broke the terms of your medical discharge. Principal Day softened slightly. But I will include a full report explaining the circumstances. You did the right thing, Hana. Sometimes doing the right thing still has consequences. Hana nodded and left the office. Outside, Yuna and Mina were waiting. They hugged her without asking if it was okay. Hana stood stiffly at first, then slowly relaxed into it. You were amazing, Mina said. I was scared, Hana admitted. That is what makes it brave, Yuna said. Being scared but doing it anyway. That night, Hana got a message from the military. They reviewed her case. They decided that defending students from an unstable veteran did not violate her discharge terms. She was cleared. She could stay in school, but she also got a message from Jin's therapist. Jin had asked the therapist to tell Hana thank you. Thank you for stopping him before he did something he could never take back. Thank you for reminding him what being a soldier really meant. Hana read the message and cried for the first time since coming home. Not sad tears, not happy tears, just tears that needed to come out. She cried for Jin, for Wu, for her dead friends, for herself, for every soldier trying to figure out how to live in peace after learning only war. Tomorrow would be another hard day. But maybe it would be a little easier than yesterday. 3 months passed. The school year moved forward like a river that could not be stopped. Hana moved with it, learning to swim instead of fighting the current. The changes came slowly. Small things first. She started sleeping 5 hours a night instead of 4. Her nightmares came only 3 times a week instead of every night. She learned to catch herself before her combat training took over in normal situations. When the fire alarm went off again, she still tensed up. But she did not organize students into tactical formations. Progress.Jin came back to school after 6 weeks. He looked different, quieter. He still had the augmentations and the training, but something behind his eyes had changed. He started a support group for students dealing with trauma. Not just veterans. Anyone who needed help. Hannah went to the first meeting. So did Yuna. So did 8 other students with their own painful stories. They sat in a circle and shared without judgment. Jin talked about his squad. Hannah talked about Sarah, her best friend who died saving her life. A girl named Rin talked about losing her family in a transport accident. A boy named Teo talked about surviving a building collapse. Pain was the same whether it came from war or from life. They all carried scars. The meetings helped. Hannah found other ways to use her training without hurting people. She joined the school's emergency response club. They learned first aid, disaster preparation, and crisis management. Hannah was the best student by far. She had real experience. She taught them how to stay calm during emergencies, how to make fast decisions when lives were at risk, how to lead when everyone else was panicking. Mina made her join the debate team. Hannah resisted at first. She did not think she was good at arguing. But Mina insisted. Your brain works tactically, Mina said. Debate is just tactical thinking with words instead of weapons. She was right. Hannah's military training made her excellent at breaking down complex problems into simple steps, at predicting what opponents would say, at finding weaknesses in arguments. She became the team captain within 6 weeks. They won the regional championship. For the first time since coming home, Hannah felt proud of something that had nothing to do with war. Wu recovered from his injuries. He started a school documentary project about veterans. He interviewed Hannah, Jin, and Mr. Tae. He interviewed his mother about his brother, who never came home. The documentary was honest and painful and beautiful. It won awards. More importantly, it made students understand that soldiers were not heroes or villains or robots. They were just people trying to survive impossible situations. Yuna became Hannah's best friend. They studied together, ate lunch together, sometimes just sat in silence together, because they both understood that silence was okay. Yuna's foster father invited Hannah to dinner one night. He was a veteran from the First Contact War. He had lost his legs and his wife. He had adopted Yuna after her parents died. They talked about war and survival and the long road back to normal. He told Hannah something she needed to hear. You are not broken, he said. You are changed. There is a difference. Broken things need to be fixed. Changed things need to be accepted. Accept what you are now. Then build from there. Those words helped more than any therapy session. But the real test came in late spring. Galactic news reached Earth. The Varanthi swarm was moving again. They had broken the treaty. They were attacking new territories. The Human Defense Coalition issued a call for volunteers. They needed experienced soldiers. They needed people who had fought the Varanthi before. Hannah received a direct message from her old commander. They offered her an immediate return to service. Officer rank. Her own squad. A chance to go back to the thing she was best at, fighting. She stared at the message for 3 hours. Her mind went to dark places. Out there, in space, things were simple, clear. You had a mission, and you completed it. No confusion about who you were, or what you were supposed to be doing. Just objectives and targets and survival. Here on Earth, everything was complicated. She still struggled in social situations. Still had bad days where she could not get out of bed. Still woke up reaching for weapons that were not there. Going back to the military would solve all of that. She would know exactly who she was again. She almost accepted Then Mina showed up at her apartment without calling first. She had never done that before. She looked at Hana's face and immediately knew something was wrong. What happened? Mina asked. Hana showed her the message. Mina read it carefully. When she finished, she looked up with tears in her eyes. You are going to go, are you not? Mina said quietly. I do not know, Hana admitted. Part of me wants to. I am good at being a soldier. I am not good at being a student. That is not true, Mina said. You are good at lots of things. You are an amazing debater. You saved 12 people during the ceiling collapse. You stopped Jin from killing Wu. You helped create a support group that is saving lives every week. You are good at being Hana. I do not know who Hana is anymore, Hana said. She felt tears starting. I know who Private Pack was. I know who Corporal Pack was. But I do not know who regular Hana is. Maybe I never will. Mina hugged her tight. Then we will figure it out together. All of us. Me, Yuna, Wu, Jin, everyone. You are not alone in this. Hana cried on her shoulder. Real crying. Not the controlled tears from before. Big, messy, ugly crying that she had held back for months. Mina just held her and said nothing because nothing needed to be said. The next day, Hana met with all her friends. Yuna, Mina, Wu, Jin, and some others from the support group. She told them about the offer, about her confusion, about not knowing what to do. Yuna held her hand. I would understand if you went. War makes sense to you. Peace is harder. Wu looked down. I would be sad if you left, but I know what duty means. My brother chose duty. I cannot blame you for doing the same. Jin spoke last. 6 months ago, I would have told you to go. That soldiers belong in war, not in schools. But I was wrong. Our real mission is not fighting. It is showing that soldiers can come home, that we can heal, that war does not have to define us forever. He paused. If you go back, you prove that wrong. You prove that once a soldier, always a soldier, that there is no after, only more war. Is that what Sarah would want? Is that what your squad would want? Or would they want you to live the life they died protecting? The question hit Hana like a physical blow. She thought about Sarah, about the last thing Sarah said before she died. Make it count, Hana. Make my death count for something. Sarah had not died, so Hana could fight forever. She had died, so Hana could have a future. So all of them could have a future. Going back to war would make that sacrifice meaningless. Hana made her decision. She sent a message to her old commander. Thank you for the offer. I am honored. But I am needed here. There are other battles to fight. Different kinds of battles. I hope you understand. The commander replied within an hour. I do understand. You were one of the best soldiers I ever commanded. But you will be an even better teacher, leader, and friend. Thank you for your service, Corporal Pack. You are officially released from all obligations. Live well. Those last 2 words meant everything. Live well, not just survive. Not just exist, but actually live. Graduation day came faster than expected. Hana stood backstage in her uniform. Not her military uniform. Her school uniform. But she had gotten permission to wear her medals on her chest. Just for today. Just to honor the people who never got to graduate anything. Principal Day called her name. Valedictorian Hana Pack. Hana walked on stage to applause. The entire school was there. Parents, teachers, students from all grades. She stood at the microphone and looked out at them. This was scarier than any combat mission. I came to this school 8 months ago, Hana began. I did not want to be here. I wanted to be anywhere else. I did not understand why I had to pretend to be normal when I felt anything but normal. She paused. I served in the military for 2 years. I fought aliens across the galaxy. I watched friends die. I killed to survive. Those experiences changed me in ways I will never fully undo. But this school changed me too. In different ways. Better ways. My friend Sarah died saving my life during our 4th deployment. Before she died, she told me to make it count. To make her sacrifice mean something. For a long time, I thought that meant killing more enemies, winning more battles, being the perfect soldier. But I was wrong. She did not die so I could fight forever. She died so I could live. So all of us could live in a galaxy where children do not have to become soldiers. Where people can worry about tests and grades and school festivals instead of survival. Hannah felt her voice crack, but kept going. This year taught me that there are different kinds of strength. Combat strength is easy. You train your body and mind to destroy. But it takes different strength to be vulnerable, to ask for help, to admit you are struggling, to choose peace when you are capable of violence. She looked at her friends in the audience. I am not fixed. I still have bad days. I still have nightmares. I still sometimes forget that I am allowed to be a normal person. But I am learning. Because people here refused to let me stay isolated. They reached out even when I pushed them away. They saw past the soldier to the person underneath. To everyone graduating today, remember this: the strongest warriors are not the ones who never fall down. They are the ones who get back up, the ones who keep trying even when it is hard, the ones who choose to live instead of just survive. My squad used to have a motto: adapt, survive, protect. That is what humans do. We adapt to impossible situations. We survive when we should not. We protect the people around us. But I want to add something to that motto. Adapt, survive, protect, and remember how to live. She held up her medals. These are for my friends who never made it home. For Sarah and the others. This diploma is for me. For proving that soldiers can come home. That we can heal. That we can be more than weapons. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for being patient while I figured out how to be human again. The applause was thunderous. Students stood up. Teachers were crying. Hannah walked off stage and was immediately surrounded by her friends. They hugged her and cried together and laughed together. It was messy and emotional and perfect. That night, Hannah sat on her apartment roof and looked at the stars. Somewhere up there, the war was still happening. Soldiers were still fighting. Ships were still burning. But here on Earth, she was safe. She was home. She was surrounded by people who cared about her dot, her neural implant activated one last time. It scanned the faces of her friends below at the graduation party. Mina laughing. Yuna smiling. Wu taking pictures. Jin talking quietly with someone who needed support. The implant labeled them with glowing tags, not as threats, not as targets, not as civilians, just as friends. Hannah smiled. For the first time in 3 years, it was a real smile. She shut down her combat implant's threat detection permanently. She did not need it anymore. She was home. She was safe. She was more than a soldier. She was Hannah, and that was enough.